Welcome back to Adobe Photoshop CC. In this tutorial we're going to basically cover the darken blend modes in Photoshop. So you can see here the darken section basically have darken, multiply, color burn, linear burn, and darken color. So what happens to each of these blend modes? Essentially each layer darkens the ones below it, and if you have anything with 100% white, it literally drops out. So the white is invisible. For example, in this image, I don't have a white, but I will show you here in a sec. So I'm going to flip over to this image here. And right now, what I want to show you is how I created this just real quick, and then I'll show you the composite here. Essentially, what I had is some text here that was created and taken from pexels.com. And essentially, what I did is I darkened it by using levels adjustments and then added invert, so I have this white and black, and then I just basically merged it and brought it over to the composite, which is this here. So in here we're going to see how to make this image here. So I'm going to turn off the top layer, and each of these layers will basically be able to turn off and share exactly how this works. So essentially at the bottom we have this one normal layer, which is this image. Again, all these images come from pexels.com, great open source site. So the next layer, if I select it, has this cool boat, which is almost white. It's kind of like a pale white background, and it does have a little tint of gray. So it typically, when I use the blend modes, I try and go to the multiply mode, which is my go-to mode. It's usually the best one. And as you can see here, it doesn't quite darken it enough. So the one that's a little bit darker is darken, and that basically knocks it out, any kind of gray there. So that one works really well. After that, I added a levels adjustment here just to add some contrast between the two images. And then I found that text, and I decided, well, let's put that on multiply. So essentially that's what allows you to drop out the white, and you have this text seem like it's floating into the wood here. I decided to duplicate a copy of a little area of it and put it on its own layer. So that's why you can see the little bit of white there. And basically now I can select that layer and set it also to multiply, because the white again will drop out completely for this finished example here. So basically these blend modes have hotkeys, which we went over before. You can use the arrow keys, and you can do the shift plus or minus. However, if you know a specific blend mode that you want, there are a few hotkeys that are good. For example, let's see here. We have, I believe it's Shift Alt N. Yeah, is for normal. So Shift Alt N or Shift Option N for normal, and then Shift Alt or Option M for multiply. Those are like the two ones, again, because I go to multiply all the time, and then normal. You can use the hotkeys, but typically you're going to just click in here and choose, between normal and multiply. It's just, if you like hotkeys, that's the one to understand how it works. The other blend mode that I use a lot is color burn, primarily for painting, and linear burn sometimes, and darken color pretty much, especially on this image. If we go to the darken layer here, there's not really a whole lot of difference in darken and darken color. In fact, between this composite here, you really can't notice any difference. Now there's a difference between those two blend modes. It's just very subtle, and so this particular image, you just don't know it, basically. So let's go over to the color burn image here, and what I'm going to do is share how to create this text here, which has this groovy kind of burn-in feel, which goes along with the waves of the ocean here, this theme, Save the Ocean here. So I'm going to turn off the layer and turn on text that says Save the Ocean, and then I have a white layer basically here that I'm going to basically underneath the text. So I'm going to click on this one, hold the shift key and click on this one, and then right click and go to, where is it here? Should be Convert to Smart Object. There it is. And now that's a smart object, which allows me to add smart filters. And that's the key component of this, besides the blend mode, is the filter that I have. I have a motion blur, a filter applied to it. So I'm going to go to Filter, go down to Blur, and choose Motion Blur. And these are the values I just liked. I like the negative 54 going up at that angle and a distance of 68. You can definitely play around with the settings however much you want. It doesn't have to be exactly 68, but if you want the same results, then just click OK. And then the next step is to, of course, change the blend mode. So instead of normal, switch to color burn and watch how that happens there. Look at that. Look how great that is, the way interaction between the type and the ocean here in the waves. Really cool effect. So the darken modes are all basically the way they work. It's kind of like a transparency where literally the pixels above darken the ones below. And typically the way they work, it's essentially darkening all the ones below typically. So that means all the white areas of anything pure white will literally drop out. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial on the darken blend modes. Until next time, see you soon at Adobe Photoshop CC. Cheers!